no one truly meets death at the moment their heart stops. Long before the final breath is taken, something else arrives, not as fear, not as pain, but as awareness. The ancient Egyptians believed that when silence suddenly felt heavy, when the air itself seemed to pause, it was not death approaching. It was Anubis, not the judge, not the executioner, but the one who arrives before the soul understands it is about to leave. Most stories place Anubis beside a scale, measuring hearts against a feather. That is where his image became frozen. But that is not where his work begins. Anubis does not wait at the end. He waits at the threshold, before death becomes irreversible, before the soul detaches, before truth can be hidden behind regret. That is where Anubis stands. Long before temples were built, before priests learned the names of rituals, death was chaotic. Bodies were abandoned. Spirits wandered without direction. Names dissolved into dust. Even the gods did not yet understand what death was meant to be. Anubis emerged from that confusion. He was not crowned. He was not announced. He was not summoned. He appeared beside the first body that was buried with intention rather than fear. That moment changed everything, because Anubis did not see death as an enemy. He saw it as something fragile, something that could be violated if left unguarded. From that moment on, decay had an adversary. Anubis's birth itself was a secret. He was born of Osiris and Nephthys, conceived in deception, hidden from divine order. Not because he was weak, but because he was inconvenient. He represented something the gods feared acknowledging, a being born not for rule, not for worship, but for responsibility. Isis raised him quietly. She taught him silence before speech, observation before action. While other gods learned how to command, Anubis learned how to wait. That patience would define him. When Osiris was murdered and torn apart, the gods panicked. They argued about justice. They demanded vengeance. Anubis did something none of them thought to do. He tended to the body. He cleaned what remained. He aligned what had been broken. He preserved what could still be honored. He did not promise resurrection. He promised continuity. This act became the first mummification, not as magic, but as respect. In that moment, Anubis established a rule that would never change. Death must not be mocked. Death must not be rushed. Death must not be stolen from itself. This is why Anubis became the guardian of rituals. Not because he loved ceremony, but because ritual is how chaos is restrained. He despised grave robbers not for theft, but for disruption. They broke the boundary. They mocked the passage. And boundaries were sacred to Anubis. When mortals began to die with awareness, Anubis began to meet them, not in visions, not in dreams, but in moments where time seemed to stretch. A dying hunter feeling the forest grow quiet. A soldier hearing the wind stop mid-breath. A priest sensing that words no longer mattered. These were not hallucinations. To the Egyptians, these were encounters. Anubis did not speak much. He did not comfort. He observed, because his task was not to guide the living, but to prepare the soul to face itself. Only after this preparation did the soul reach the scale. But here is the secret rarely spoken. The scale doesn't decide fate, it reveals it. Anubis does not judge the heart. He ensures the heart cannot lie. And there are souls that never reach the scale. Ancient texts whisper of them, the ones who knew truth in life and chose to ignore it. They are not punished. They are not rewarded. They are removed. Taken by Anubis beyond judgment, beyond paradise, beyond torment, into silence, not as mercy, not as cruelty, but as consequence. This is why Anubis has no enemy among the gods, because his opposition is not divine. His enemy is disrespect, neglect, decay without meaning. This is why he bears the head of a jackal. The jackal walks among graves but doesn't consume the dead. It understands limits. So does Anubis. Pharaohs prayed to many gods, but they never asked Anubis for favor. They knew better. Anubis does not grant wishes. He grants clarity, and clarity is terrifying. The Egyptians believed that at the moment of death, every human hears the same voice. Not Ra's radiance, not Osiris's judgment, Anubis. And he does not ask questions. He says only this: if you are whole, follow me. If you are not, remain and face what you avoided. That moment decides nothing. It only reveals everything. Anubis is not the god of death. He is the god who ensures death is honest. And before anyone crosses that final boundary, they are completely, irreversibly alone.